Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Enneagram and Coaching. I'm Hillary, your certified Enneagram life coach that loves to teach you guys about the Enneagram in the simplest and easiest way possible. In today's video, we're breaking down the subtypes of the type 3, the achiever. But before we get started, don't forget to push the subscribe button, click the like button, and then also hit that bell if you want to be notified every time a video goes live. Okay, so before we dive into the subtypes of the type 7, I want to build a foundation that leads us to the subtypes of the type 7. Okay, so the first step to building that foundation is you have to know your dominant type. And if you don't know your dominant type, you find yourself watching this video and you're like, wait, I think I'm a 3, but I'm not for sure I'm a 3. I will link a video right here that will help you with that. So the first step is know your dominant type, and I will be using the type 3 as an example today since this is your video type 3s. The second step is know your wing, and the wings for the type 3 is the 3 wing 2 and the 3 wing 4. If you want to know a little bit more information about your wings, if you're a type 3, I'll link that video right here because I've done the whole wing series. And then step 3 is figuring out your subtype. And by the end of this video, you should be able to identify your dominant subtype. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go over is what is a subtype? Each of the 9 types, which you guys know all 9 types, you got the type 1, 2, 3, all the way to the 9. All of those 9 types within them have 3 instincts. And one of these 3 instincts is your dominant subtype. And what are those 3 instincts? Self-preservation, SP, social, which is SO, and sexual, which is SX, but that one also could be known as 1-to-1. All 3 instincts are based off of the 3 primary instincts that motivate your behavior. Okay, so all 3 instincts are super important. They play a part in your life, but usually one of the 3 instincts you learned to mostly rely on in your childhood. Therefore, it's very developed, and we call this your dominant instinct, which is called your subtype. And usually one of the other 2 instincts is pretty developed. So you have one that's dominant, it's the one you mostly used in childhood, and then the other one is usually pretty developed, and then your third instinct is your blind spot or just an underdeveloped instinct. And usually we'll go ahead and stack them in order. So if you feel like the social one is the one that you've most developed and you most use, that'll go first. The letters are SO. And if you feel self-preservation is second, because you're like, gosh, I definitely can see that in my life, well, those letters are SP, and that would go second. And then the third one might be your blind spot or kind of underdeveloped, the SX. So your stacking would be SO/SP/SX. And usually we don't even put the third one on because it is a blind spot. So to hopefully not confuse you, you will usually only see 2 listed. For myself, I'm a 9 wing 8 SO/SP. And this is why you can have so many 3s and they will look different. Usually of all 9 types, you're always going to have a counter type within each type. And so for the type 3, there's a counter type, which I'm going to get into that later of what that is. But these instincts make the type 3 each have a different set of concerns on how they view life and how they show up to life, right? And so you have your social, self-pres, and sexual. Their first instinct is going to be different, and therefore they are going to all look a little different, but still at the core of them be a type 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and learn about the type 3's 3 instincts so we can figure out your dominant instinct, which would be called your subtype. So let's go ahead and start with the self-preservation 3, which just so happens to be the counter type of the type 3, which means if you're a self-preservation 3, you probably don't feel like you look like other 3s or fit in with other 3s, or you're like, how can I even be a 3 because I'm so different than that 3? This is why. The self-preservation 3 is called the counter type, so they don't actually look like a type 3 sometimes. The basic definition of self-preservation is their main priority is having and maintaining physical comfort and safety. They're going to have some sort of concern with food, health, shelter, resources, clothing, some kind of concern with some of that. They're just more concerned with life's basic necessities. So what does the self-preservation 3 look like? This 3 is more focused on working hard to do the things in the best way possible. They are less focused on wanting to be the center of attention. Each of the type 3s, they all deal with vanity, but in different ways. And so for the self-preservation 3, they hide their vanity by being an excellent role model. And in the 3, that would look like being efficient, hardworking, productive, and good. They really strive to be admired By others? By not telling them they want to be admired. Self-preservation 3s can be extremely focused on their careers. They really need to be self-reliant and feel in complete control of their own life. One thing for the self-preservation to watch for is a lot of times they will focus so much of their time and energy on work, security, and efficiency. They might not have any reserves left for deep relationships or deep connections with other people. Another thing is a self-preservation 3 might actually view their feelings as a waste of time, or they might even have a difficult time knowing their own inner feelings. This subtype might be confused with a type 1 because they might look rigid, responsible, self-sufficient like a 1 would and try to be that model of virtue in the things that they do. But you usually can tell the difference between the type 1 and the type 3 because a 3, they still are moving at that pace that a 3 would. You know, they're very fast moving, fast paced personalities. And another way to tell the difference is the 3s, they still want to create an image. Image is very important for the type 3. They don't always know that it's important to them. They might not acknowledge that it's important to them, but it definitely is important to a type 3. Okay, so let's move on to a social 3. What do they look like? The basic description of the social instinct is they usually have a desire to be liked. They can read a room really well. They understand what's going on socially. And so for the 3, this is actually the most common subtype. What does that look like in a type 3? Well, in the type 3 social, degrees, awards, job titles, these are all very important to the social 3. They want the right pedigree, the right credentials. That's super important to the social 3. They're the most aggressive of all the subtypes of the 3. They really just have this strong and assertive character. This subtype is going to be way more concerned with brand name, expensive cars, houses, stuff like that. That's super important to a social 3. And unlike the self-preservation subtype, the social subtype loves the spotlight. And they love climbing social ladders and professional ladders. The social 3 is super competitive. They want to win. They are really concerned with winning. This 3 will have tons of confidence leading a group wherever they want to go. And if they aren't the leader or their leader isn't doing a good enough job, they're going to want to take over. Now, on the flip side, the social 3, they don't handle criticism very well. It can be devastating to them. But they're probably not going to show their emotions to you, but they definitely are there. And criticism, like I said, is really hard for them. And to wrap this up, the social 3, this is the most obvious 3. They usually don't get mistyped. They're what people think of when they think about a type 3. Okay, so the last one is called the sexual 3, or we like to call that 1-to-1. And honestly, you will see in the thumbnail and everything, I'll always say 1-to-1 because the word sexual does get flagged. So there you go, the more you know. But moving on to what is the basic description of the sexual 3? This instinct helps people be aware of the chemistry between them and another person. And what that looks like in the sexual 3 is this subtype has charisma, beauty, charm, glamour, rather than money and fame. They are more competitive by trying to be the most attractive person, but they also can be sweet and shy, but also a force of nature and have turbulent emotions. And so all of that kind of makes up the sexual 3. Now, one thing to know is this subtype of the 3 is just as capable of achieving success. That doesn't mean success is important to them because at the core, they are a 3 and success is extremely important to a type 3. They just don't try and achieve success through hard work as much as the other 2 subtypes. They just usually will put more focus on pleasing and making themselves attractive as a way of earning love. This subtype is really going to want to please other people, like I said, and especially their family. They want to be the best parent, the best spouse, the best son, the best uncle, any of the best, that one-on-one relationship with other people, that's where their competitiveness comes in. And this subtype actually doesn't need the spotlight either. So you got the self-pres that doesn't really need it, and you got the sexual 1-to-1 doesn't really need it, but the social definitely wants that spotlight. This one is the most emotional of all 3 subtypes. But interesting enough, there is still a disconnection from their feelings. Okay, so that's the 3 instincts of the type 3, which makes them subtypes. Let me know which one you most relate to, which one you feel like is your dominant instinct after hearing this teaching. Which one have you seen mostly show up in your life? Like since childhood, you're like, oh, that's the first instinct that I've had. Let me know in the comment box below. I love hearing from you guys. If you've gotten to the end of this video and you're still confused about what your type is, I just want to throw it out there that I do offer a Discover You typing session. It's a 1-hour Zoom call with me, and I will put the link in the description box below if you are interested in that. I just didn't want to leave you guys hanging in case you are watching this for yourself or for someone else, if you're trying to get to know somebody else, I just always want to give you that option that I do have a typing session if you are a little confused still. And in that typing session, we usually figure out your dominant type, your wing, your dominant subtype, and go a little bit into childhood patterns and stuff like that. And if you want to find me on social media, I have 2 accounts on Instagram. The first one is Hillary_McCaskey_coaching, and the second one is Enneagram and Coaching. So you can follow me either of those places or both. And the last thing I have for you guys, if you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and push subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate you guys so much. And until next time, bye guys.